So what did I like about this movie, first of all? This is definitely the best Thor movie, I would say. I don't feel the Thor movies have been the strongest up until this point. And this one is definitely the strongest, although it's so different from the other two. I still kind of like the first one, if I'm completely honest. But, yeah, this one is the best, although I don't think it's as standout as... If you look at the three main Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man and Thor, the original Iron Man was the standout of that series. The Captain America, and some people might say Civil War, but I say the Winter Soldier was definitely the standout of that series. This movie is the best out of the Thor movies, but I don't feel it's as standout as the other two, if that makes sense. So, although it's the best Thor movie, I don't feel it's kind of as quite as classic as the respective Iron Man and Captain America movies. Anyway, what else did I like about this? I thought some of the characters here worked really well. Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk and Bruce Banner is just a treasure. He is just a treasure to behold, and his moments as both Banner and the Hulk were brilliant. I love the Hulk in this movie. He's kind of has a bit more intelligence because he's been the Hulk for a long time, so he's kind of developed a bit. He's got a bit more vocabulary, and his kind of like childish kind of relationship with Thor, I think, is brilliant. Which leads me on to Thor himself. Apparently, Taika Waititi kind of wanted to base Thor in this movie from Jack Burton from the Big Trouble in Little China, and you can kind of see this. He's kind of like this big kind of doofus hero. I thought he was good. Chris Hemsworth obviously has found this stride with kind of like action comedies, basically. I think he's pretty fun here and does a good role, and actually has a couple of dramatic moments as well with this movie. It's not all fun and games. There are a couple of dramatic moments that I thought Hemsworth does a pretty good job here. He's obviously great at the kind of the action sequences. Hela, the bad guy, played by Cate Blanchett, looks fantastic. I thought she does a good job with what she's given, although she's not given a whole lot, if that makes sense. She's kind of like more or less just a kind of a bad guy that kind of wants to take over the world. She doesn't get a whole ton of screen time, but what we do see of her, although she does come across as quite menacing and quite powerful a villain as well. The comedy is going to be the main thing with this movie. I feel there's going to be the divisive point here. I've never seen a Taika Waititi film before. I understand that they're quite well praised. Hunt for the Wilder People, I think it is, and What We Do in the Shadows. I haven't seen either of them. But I've got to say, I found his humour maybe a little bit too lowbrow, maybe a little bit too slapdick, maybe a little bit too juvenile. I was kind of expecting a clever comedy, and it really isn't that. It's still kind of funny, but the comedy is very base humour for the most part, I would say. I personally never really laughed out loud. I was amused throughout the movie, but never really kind of found it ball-bustingly funny at any point. But it was kind of amusing enough and a fun ride to keep it going. The Thor versus Hulk scenes are great. The big kind of gladiatorial fight scenes. I was maybe hoping for maybe another fight with another particular character that I was hoping would show up. He doesn't, sorry. But, nonetheless, it was a decent kind of fight scene. Although I do feel the final fight scene, although it was still quite fun, didn't quite live up to the fight scene we have with Thor and Hulk there. I love the world here. I thought it's very kind of reminiscent of Jack Kirby's early work, and obviously if you have a look at the background characters, the kind of the guards and their kind of armor, it's just out of the pages of a Jack Kirby comic book. It looks very, very faithful. Although I've got to say, it looks eerily similar to like Luc Besson's kind of sci-fi work, like The Fifth Element and Valerian more recently. It doesn't, because it's all these kind of bright colours and kind of like weird, outlandish costumes. I feel, especially people who maybe aren't newer comic fans or not really comic fans at all, maybe will think Luc Besson rather than kind of Jack Kirby, if that makes sense. It's certainly well paced. It's got, it's a fun movie that kind of has a good old pace. I didn't think it was as classic as maybe some people will do. I think some people will find this really funny and kind of just be completely in love with it. I feel there's too many kind of peripheral characters. We have Scourge, the Executioner. Didn't need to be in this movie at all. Doesn't really accomplish anything. Although I did like his kind of grey character, if that makes sense. He has quite an interesting depth to his character, which I won't go into, but nonetheless, I didn't think that he was needed. I didn't really like Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master. I thought he just played Jeff Goldblum, which brings me on to the other issue I had with the aliens side of stuff. They just seemed a little bit too human in the way that they were communicating, the jokes they were telling, like when Taika Waititi's Cronin character, this rock creature, who I didn't really like, I've got to be honest. You might have seen the joke in the trailer, and he's like, the hammer pulls you off. I just thought, that's just like such a kind of human joke to say. I just don't think, I know Guardians of the Galaxy had aliens speaking English and all of that, but I don't know. It just didn't seem alien enough. It seemed just like a human joke, and I guess that is just a bit silly, I thought. Overall, it's a fun film. It's the best Thor movie, but I don't think it's one of the best Marvel movies. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.